All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Yusuf Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76 Sports. If you see fit, shout out to Bo Lytle. Please like this stream / playback. Also, please consider sharing it, and also please consider subscribing if the algorithm brought you here for the first time. Well, I just wanted to make a quick reaction video to Michigan's 27-14 victory over the Iowa Hawkeyes. Let me slow down. Michigan's 27-14 victory over the Iowa Hawkeyes out at Kinnick Stadium. The Wolverines were predicted to win the game by 11 points, and they pretty much did that. They won by 13, and it was actually Iowa arguably put those points up when Michigan had taken its foot off the gas, at least defensively. The commentators pointed that out, that Michigan had changed its coverage late in the game so that Iowa was able to move the ball more effectively than they had earlier on in the game. I'm going to start us with Let's Go Blue. And then I'm going to play a little post-game reaction from J.J. McCarthy and Mike Morris and another player. I can't say his name. They say it in the clip. But it turns out we have a transfer from Alabama, I think, which Abdul Gaines will love. Michael Burden says, go blue. And James Robinson says, great game today. Yeah. So for all the people who were we're going to blow Iowa out, well, the game was the game turned out to be what the predictions were, about an 11 point victory. It ended up being 13 points. Let me bring us in with a little bit of music, then I'll play JJ's words and his teammates' words after the game on the sidelines. Then I'll go through some of the stats, and then I'll wrap this up. So we'll start with Let's Go Blue. Didn't mean to interrupt it there. Stern soundtrack. It's always easier when I create the intro for it and it stops and there are no songs afterwards. Anyway, this short clip, this is JJ's reaction on the sidelines along with Mike Morris and another kid. They say the kid's name. He transferred from Alabama. So I'm going to play this really quickly, then I'll get on with the game analysis.
I mean, it was huge. Just from a team standpoint, this is our first road game, and especially coming into Kinnick with just the history of everything, it was just really awesome to get it done. Now we're on to the next week.
There's so much to be said about the culture of this group. It was established last year. How high is the ceiling for this Michigan football team?
I mean, we're not even scratching yet. We're still we're still learning. Every week we're getting better, and that's what makes this team just so dangerous. We're nowhere near how good we can be. And it's practice, we really try each other. We go extremely hard at practice, and it makes moments like this, it makes it a little bit easier.
I love this. Every week we're going to add a player. So next week, 4 guys. Well done. Congratulations.
No, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank
y'all so much. We appreciate y'all.
All right, so that was JJ's first road start. It was his first road win, and arguably the team's first true test this season. I had this game circled, and I thought that with the team having to go into Coach Harbaugh and others Coach Harbaugh called Kinnick Stadium the place where top 5 teams go to die. It turns out that Jim, when he was a player under Bo Schembechler, Jim never won at Kinnick Stadium. Well, we all know what happened to the 2016 team. I forgot that I think the 2016 team, where Wilton Speight was the quarterback, I think that team was ranked number 2. And that loss kind of derailed everything. But that's 6 years ago. Let's not harp on that. Let's talk about today's game. So today's game, I'm gonna pull up the stats from ESPN here. Yeah, so Michigan won the game 27-14. So they scored 3 touchdowns, and Jake Moody hit 2 field goals. JJ McCarthy went 18 for 24 for 155 yards and 1 touchdown. Spencer Petras went 21 for 31 for 246 yards and 1 touchdown. Blake Corum carried the ball 29 times for 133 yards and 1 touchdown. And Luke Schoonmaker, it looks like he led all of the receivers with 4 receptions for 45 yards. And I'm going to go over the individual statistics shortly, but let's see. The plays of the game that I wrote down, Michigan had a killer. Maybe killer's not a good word, but an efficient opening drive. They came out. Iowa deferred the possession. And Michigan drove the ball right down the field. It was a mixture of Blake Corum runs and also smart throws by JJ.
The Magic is calling you to a
Hold
celebration
on.
50 years in the making, where the worlds you love
Whenever you use the ESPN website, it's running multiple things, and all of a sudden the audio comes on. Okay, so you could see in the first drive that JJ was a little bit more under control. He was decisive with the ball, and he was looking for what was available. A lot of those were underneath routes, and he was getting the ball out quickly, and they were high percentage throws, and there was very little opportunity for tipped balls and balls ricocheting off hands into the hands of Iowa defenders. So he came out and he looked sharp and he looked crisp, and the entire offense did. So there was a mixture of those precision passes and
The Magic is calling you to a celebration 50 years in the making.
and those Blake Corum runs. And that initial drive ended with a Ronnie Bell. It was kind of like an end around type of thing where JJ flicked the ball to him and Ronnie Bell ran the ball in the end zone. So that was the first drive. They also scored a touchdown in the third quarter. JJ rolled out an Iowa defender was closing in on him, and he scrambled out to the right and he found Donovan Edwards in the end zone. That was cool. He stayed poised even though the pressure was coming on. And then the final touchdown came as they were trying to burn the clock out and run the clock out, and that was a Blake Corum touchdown run with 1 minute and 19 seconds left in the fourth quarter. So they scored 3 touchdowns.
No fees or minimums and no overdraft fees are another reason banking with Capital One isn't even easier.
Okay, I'm gonna have to close this window out. And then the rest of the scores came from Jake Moody. But the game was pretty much as everyone predicted when you think about the Iowa offense. Buckeye Alex actually texted me during the game and said, Anwar, Iowa just has the worst offense in the Big Ten. So they had Spencer Petras back, but they have a young offensive line, and I think some of their skill position players were hurt. So they just weren't able to get much done on offense all day, and their scores came late in the game when Michigan was up 20 zip at that point. So the score is a little bit deceptive. I think Michigan had control over the game for most of the game. So for those of you who are here, let me know what you think there in the chat. What did you see today? Was this I know I had this game circled as a true test for the Wolverines. I think it was in terms of going on the road. But I think this was a game where the way Iowa's team is set up and the way their units are performing, their defense would have had to have won the game for them. The defense would have had to have put up points for them to win. But with Michigan running the ball the way they ran the ball, and with JJ for the
Morgan Stanley at Work provides workplace financial benefits, including financial wellness, retirement, and equity solutions that help build financial confidence. Because when people feel good about their work.
Okay. I just had to close out that ESPN site altogether. I might go back to it because they break down the defensive stats. They break down all the stats in a much more a clear way than Google does. But what I was saying was, I think that for Iowa to have been able to win this game, their defense would have to have put up points for them because Michigan was playing a very efficient game on offense with Blake running the ball and with our offensive line getting the push that he was getting. You could see for most of the game on the ground, with the exception of a few series late in the game, the offensive line was blowing that Iowa defensive line and that front seven off the line of scrimmage. So Blake was able to get in there and just get chunks of yardage on each carry. So with our offense running the ball like that, and with JJ not making mistakes, there were very, very few chances for the Iowa defense to get takeaways and to return those 4 scores. Now, there was one fumble. There was one JJ fumble late in the game. He was dropping back to pass, and you could see that he was trying to pull his arm. She was trying to throw the ball forward, but the ball got hit, I think, when his arm was still back. So Donovan Edwards, shout out to him. He made a really good hustle play, and he ran, and he fell on the ball before the Iowa defender could get it. And so that created a deep punt. That gave the Iowa offense the ball back around their 40 or their 50, and that was their first score, but they didn't have to drive the entire field. So that's when they were able to get on the board. And then they got on the board also for the second time in terms of scoring a touchdown after that. But Michigan had once again changed its coverages and was playing with probably a little less intensity at that point because the game was out of reach. Michael says that was a good defense we beat today. Yeah. I think the question now is what's going to happen when you go up against a team with a competent defense and a competent offense. Okay. I think that's the question now. James Robinson says, Maryland was a tougher game in my opinion, and the defense played much better today. I would agree. If you're just coming in, please hit that like button. Please smash that like button. That helps with the engagement. And Adrian Roberson says, go blue. Okay. I'm going to attempt to go back to that ESPN website so we can look at some of the statistics. I should be able to catch their their commercials this time. Give me a second here. Hey guys, let me know again what you think. How did you think JJ played? He didn't put up 200 yards throwing, but he was precise with the ball, and it looked like he was determined not to turn it over. He got good pass protection, and he did take a couple of deep shots. He missed. He almost connected with Roman Wilson. That was one of those plays where if they had connected, this might be a bit of a different discussion. But I think the big completion he made was to Andrew Anthony. But it was a quiet and an efficient game for him, in my opinion. And he was able to he impacted the game through the air, and he impacted the game on the ground as well. Okay, let me try to go back to that ESPN website, even though they have those pop-ups. I mean, 3 times today. Okay, where's Iowa ESPN? All right, ESPN, we'll try this one more time. Yeah, if you guys have comments, definitely let those be known in the chat. I'm going to go to the box score and share my screen. I'm going to sprint through these because another commercial is going to start at some point. Okay, so JJ went 18 for 24 for 155 yards. He threw 1 touchdown. That was to Donovan Edwards. Okay. Blake Corum carried the ball 29 times for 133 yards. He scored 1 touchdown. That was in the 4th quarter. And I think it was good that Donovan Edwards was back because that meant that they were able to share the carries and Blake wasn't going to get himself worn out. And Donovan Edwards, he even had success carrying the ball on the ground as well. He's known for having multiple skill sets, catching the ball, running the ball, et cetera, et cetera. So let's see. Yeah, Luke Schoonmaker caught 4 balls for 45 yards. Andrew Anthony caught 1 for 29 yards. Roman Wilson caught 4 for 28 yards. Roman took a hit from one of those Iowa defensive backs. I think in the first half, Donovan caught 4 for 21 yards, and Ronnie Bell caught 2 for 16 yards. And in terms of the rushing, let me go back to the rushing. Yeah, Ronnie carried the ball twice for 26 yards and that touchdown. That was the first Michigan score. There was 1 fumble. That was when JJ got hit. I'm waiting for you. I caught it that time. All right. You got to keep an eye on this ESPN website. Okay. Yeah, so in terms of the defense, yeah, it was I thought the tackling in this game was good. Iowa threw a lot to its tight ends. They didn't throw a lot of deep balls to wide receivers. So Michigan was able to wrap up those tight ends really, really quickly, and their running backs. They sacked Spencer Petras a couple of times. Mason Graham got 1. Mike Morris got 2. Iyabi Anoma had a half sack, and Taylor Upshaw had a.
We should be more sustainable. Amazon Business can steer.
And Taylor Upshaw had a half sack. There were no interceptions in this game. Jake Moody connected on all of his kicks. And I think another key stat, and Fox pointed this out in the first half, and I think this speaks to the futility, or I don't want to say the ineptitude of the Iowa offense, because that kind of belittles. I mean, if you're on a Division I roster, you can play. You're good. But just they're offensively challenged. So in the first half, you could see here at the end of the game, Michigan won the time of possession by they possessed the ball for 33 minutes and 44 seconds, and Iowa possessed the ball for 26 minutes and 16 seconds. But in the first half, that was more lopsided because Michigan's offense, they were able to put together drives that took them from deep in their own territory down to Iowa's territory. So they were putting together long, sustained drives. And in that first half, Iowa was getting on the field offensively and they were getting off. So Iowa's defense, they played a lot of this game because their offense wasn't able to put anything substantial together in that first half, and they only got on the board in the second half. I see some comments there in the chat. The super chat is live, guys. If you want to super chat something, let's see. Michigan had 24 first downs. Iowa only had 16. Michigan generated 327 total yards. Iowa generated 281. So we had a third more yards than them. Okay, so they won the passing. And they won in terms of passing yardage. But we dominated them on the ground. We rushed the ball 172 times. I'm sorry. We rushed the ball for 172 yards, and Iowa only rushed for 35 yards. Both teams had 5 penalties. For Michigan, that amounted to 50 yards. For Iowa, that amounted to 59 yards. And there were no turnovers. Okay. So I think the difference in the game was the offenses. And I think it was our running game. And I think the running game is going to be the bedrock of our offense this year. Okay. Assuming Blake stays healthy. But yeah, I think whomever we play, our offensive line right now is playing. They're playing pretty dominantly. They're playing in a dominant way. They're being very dominant. And you could see in that first half that they were really, really imposing themselves on the Iowa defense. So if that our offensive line stays healthy, and if Blake stays healthy, I think that's going to be the heartbeat of our offense. And then whatever JJ and the skill position players add on to that, that's going to create a dual threat for any defenses that we face. And I think I'll just say this. Yeah, I think this will make us competitive in the horseshoe next month. It's October 1st now, so that will be next month. Give me a second here, guys. I'm not looking at this on YouTube myself. Let's see. I'm going to read some of your comments. Okay. If you haven't, please hit that like button. The likes help with the engagement, and that will help drive traffic here. And that's very, very helpful for me. Let's see. So you guys have said, Mike said that was a good defense we beat today. James said Maryland was a tougher game, in my opinion, and the defense played much better today. Yes. Adrian Robertson said go blue. Michael said JJ played good. He respected the fact that if he forced anything, it could hurt us. That's right. If you're just coming in, please hit that like button. The likes are free and those help with the engagement. Alvin Robertson says Blake deserves some Heisman talk. Well, I think there was Joel Klatt and the other commentator. I think they started that discussion. I agree. I think if he plays like this for the rest of the Big Ten season, he's going to have to get an invitation to the ceremony. And he may even give C.J. Stroud a run for his money for being the Heisman Trophy winner. Certainly, if we go down to the horseshoe and we beat Ohio State, and Blake is healthy and he's continuing to produce like this, then that will that may make him the favorite to be the Heisman Trophy winner. Michael Burden says, stats tell a story, but not the whole story. What do you mean by that, Mike? Mondo Ray Moore says, well, got that out of the way. Now the fun begins. Go Blue. Okay, all right. Well, I think the next, Mike, I'm going to drop the link here if you want to come up and say a few words. I think the next test, quote unquote, for the Wolverines is going to be Penn State. And that's going to be in our house. Penn State looks tough, but that's going to be in our house. So yeah, I was happy with today. Oh, Antoine's here. He says, I wish Michigan would run better route concepts. Michigan's routes are elementary and easy to defend. No one drags except for the tight end. Michigan needs to run dig and timing routes. Well, Antoine, what are the routes? What are the routes?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Michael?
Hey, you on the bus coming back from Iowa City. We got a bunch of fans right here from you hear them? We're from the U of M club of Greater Detroit, and we are ecstatic. Can I get a go blue? Yeah, Doc. We saw it in person. It was a beautiful thing.
Okay. All right. Do you have any thoughts on JJ's game or the defense or anything?
Well, like I said in the chat, Doc, JJ played a clean game. The stats don't tell the story. He believed in his coaches, and he knew that he had to have a clean game in order to do what he did today. I mean, he didn't force any turnovers. He played within himself, and at the end of the day, that's all you can ask, Doc.
That's right. Yeah, and it looked like they kind of knew what they were going to get in the Iowa defense, and everything was decisive. They said, okay, we're going to throw some underneath routes. We're not going to get the balls tipped. We're not going to allow the balls to be tipped. We're going to throw to the tight end. We're going to throw to Schoonmaker. So we're gonna hand up. We're gonna let Ronnie Bell run those end arounds or whatever you call those, and we're gonna take some shots when they're there. But it sounded like it looked like they weren't gonna play a mistake filled game.
Exactly, man. And that's the way it had to be played. I mean, if he would have tried to play hero ball, they would have forced him into turnovers, and we would have been in trouble today. And I'm just glad that JJ believes in his coaches, and he had, to me, it was the game that needed to be played. And ain't nothing wrong with handing the ball to Blake Corum in the backfield, because he played well today too. Donovan Edwards played well today. The defense played well in spots. I like to think that they could have got a better pass rush. Now, that's something that we definitely got to work on, is that pass rush. But, this is the 5th game. We got plenty of time, man.
Okay. I was pleased to see the offensive line firing off the line they were. Firing off the ball the way they were. You could see them. Blake was getting chunks of 4 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards on every carry. And you could see them firing off the ball and pretty much blowing away Iowa's defensive line. That was cool.
And we thought that the pass protection was pretty good too.
Yeah, it was.
Yep. Okay. So the offensive line is making strides. The defensive line played well. We got to get the linebackers not to arm tackle. If they can not arm tackle and come with bad intentions, we got time to get this thing fixed. We're gonna be all right, Doc.
I think you're right. On this course, if everybody stays healthy, I think you're right. Yeah, the defense, they Yeah, they have more time to gel. And yeah, I think you're right.
Yep. Hey, I want to give a shout out to my man Antoine Johnson over there. Tell him I said what's up. Hey, we're about to get off the bus, so I'm gonna get on off here. But Doc, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, man. And go big, go blue. And
Give me one more.
Give me on the next time, baby.
Hey, Mike, give me one more from the group. Give me one more.
Hey, group, can we give me one more go blue? Go! All right, Doc, I'm out.
All right, peace out from DC. All right. That's what happens when you start to build a community here. We're building a little community here, gradually. So, see, so we're at a half hour. I don't intend to be on for much longer. Antoine says Michigan constantly runs fly routes and other long developing routes. That's why no one's ever open. Well, Antoine, I mean, don't you think that for whatever reason, well, JJ's gonna start connecting on those deep throws. That one he threw to Roman today, it was right there. It was just right there. So at some point, I'm not discarding what you're saying. But the deep shots I think are there. So okay. Antoine, if you want to come up and say a few words, you're welcome to do so. I'm going to drop the link. Well, the link is right here. If anyone wants to come, Antoine, if you want to come up and talk about the game and speak your piece, you're welcome to do so. NC Worker just stopped through. NC Worker, thank you for stopping through. If you're new coming in, please hit that like button. The likes help with the engagement. They help with the algorithm. And they're free. Okay. Well, everyone, that's pretty much all I had. You know, there's a lot of talk. Joel Klatt keeps. I'm subscribed to the Fox channel on YouTube, and there's a lot of talk that well, let's take a look at the top 25. Let's see. So as of today, and this is going to change probably tomorrow, at least for the teams outside of the top 4, the top 5. So right now, right. So Joel Klatt, in one of his videos from this week, he was talking about the top 3, and why the top 3 are different than everybody else. So that top 3, Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State, he was making the argument that that's the elite group, and then everyone else is kind of competing with that group. So I think right now, yeah, we may not be in that group, but we're right underneath that group, knocking on the door to being in that group. I mean, you have to. I mean, a lot of things go into that, like recruiting and depth. But in terms of the way we're playing right now, and in terms of how our team looks, yeah, I think we're right where we're supposed to be. So, Antoine says, yes, I'm not worried about JJ and the long fly routes, but teams are not going to let you throw over their head constantly, especially Iowa. That's why you have to have drag routes similar to other routes. And then he says, on the long throws, JJ is constantly trying to make throws on a rope. He needs to put more air on the ball. Okay, maybe that would explain why they're just out a little further ahead of the wide receivers. But I thought Roman was going to be able to get under that one today. Let's see. Antoine says every zone has holes in them, but your timing has to be on point. Okay. All right, everyone. That's pretty much all I've got. That's pretty much all I had. So I mean, some people were, myself included, were worried about this game. As Coach Harbaugh said, Kinnick Stadium is the place where top 5 teams go to die. And it hasn't been a friendly place for our teams in the past. So, yeah, I was one of those concerned fans. But I think the story of the game was Blake Corum's running, JJ's efficient and precise game, and also Iowa's challenged offense. And that's what amounted to this 27-14 score, which was very, very close to the prediction of Michigan winning by 11 points. So with that, I'm going to wrap this stream up. I have some other things to do here. So I want to thank those of you who came and hung out in the chat. And I want to thank Michael for clicking on the stream from out in Iowa City, and also for him and the rest of those Michigan fans on that bus from the Detroit, Michigan Athletic Club. Thank you for those Go Blues. And if you're watching on the playback, yeah, let me know underneath what you thought about today's victory out in Iowa City. So Antoine says, Iowa is the place where top teams go to die. That's just Jim trying not to eat the rat poison, as Nick Saban would say. But, you know, in the past, they've had better offenses. I'm thinking about, Brad Banks and, John Navarre's senior year. I think they lost out there. I can't think of, they had a tall quarterback that year. And then the 2016 team, the one that helped ruin our season that year, they had enough to put 2 touchdowns up. They had enough to, that team had enough to slow our offense down, and they had enough to put enough points up to win that game. Of course, Wilton Spade broke his collarbone. So, but today they just didn't have enough offense to go toe to toe with us. All right, everyone, I'm going to shut this down. I apologize for all the ESPN commercials popping up, but there are a lot of those on that site. If you're new here, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to donate something to the channel, that information is below in the description box, and you can also leave a super thanks. Those of you who are a part of this group, you know about my newsletter. That information is below in the description box as well. Yeah, good game, Wolverines. Look out for, I'll probably make something pre-Indiana. So look out for that. Antoine says, the only reason Iowa was able to beat Michigan at Kinnick is because they played Iowa easy to stop football, constant, simple runs up the middle. Michigan was too conservative then. Yeah, that's a good point. I think if you're talking about the 2016 team in terms of the running game, our running game with Davion Smith and that offensive line didn't have enough pop and explosion. And I think that was the problem, because they couldn't move the chains late in the game. They couldn't blow those Iowa defenders off the line of scrimmage the way that our offensive line was doing today. So I agree with that. All right, everyone. I'm going to shut the stream down. Thank you for those of you who came and hung out in the chat. Go blue. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.